Hi everyone, I'm Heath Hightower, co-host of Process Recordings. Before we get started with today's show, I want to just give you a quick reminder. While Lisa and I hope you find our show useful, we also want you to know that it's not a substitute for therapy. If you do need a therapist, however, we do recommend that you check out the psychologytoday.com website. Also, if you need immediate support, contact 988, which is the 3-digit number to contact the National Crisis Hotline and Suicide number. Thanks for listening and watching, and enjoy the show. Hi everybody, I'm Heath Hightower.
And I'm Lisa Wessan.
And this is Process Recordings, the show where we have real conversations about real human experiences, and we offer real tools and techniques to help you and everyone out there live their best life. Hi, Lisa.
Hello. I'm excited to do this topic, helping people increase their capacity for joy and love. Romance, maybe even hot sex, it's all good. or just friendship. Just friendship,
That's
building
right.
Relationships.
Well,
This is about hookups and breakups. I mean, it could be friendships. It could be a lot of things. And also we're going to try to fit in this in 25 minutes, how to detach with love, how to have a good breakup. I don't know if we're going to be able to cover that thoroughly though, because it's so much work. There's so much on that. But we're going to definitely cover some top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So where would you like to start? Do you want to start with some of your hot takes?
Yeah, well, I think, again, with the two of us, I love the contrast because you come from the behavioral, empirical, and I love all that work too.
Yes.
And I love all the regular stuff, and I also like the psychospiritual component because from my experience, the ego, which is the part of us that takes actions, and also the neofrontal cortex is the part that does the actions, makes the plans. But then there's this other level in the quantum field, and identifying your quantum field keyword, whether it's wise mind, the universe, source energy, Buddha nature, Jesus, Allah, Hashem, whatever, we access that other level, the higher self, the higher power. To me, it's all the same in the fifth dimension. And that is the force that helps us become magnetizing beings. And we raise our vibration, and then we meet a vibrational match. The ego cannot do this. The ego doesn't have that ability. So first things first is learning to identify and access your quantum, what I call the quantum keyword. Again, everybody has their way in. In dialectical behavior therapy, I teach that course. We call it wise mind because it's nice and neutral. You can be an atheist and have wise mind. Some people talk to Mary or Jesus or Buddha, whatever. It's all good. But we call it wise mind. So finding your quantum field keyword. And then the next very important step in finding relationships is values and priorities. And discussing, in the first episode, we talked about Heath brought in that wonderful acronym OCEAN, which I love because that's really part of values, describing your level of openness, conscientiousness, extrovertedness, agreeableness, and neuroticism. That's very important. But there's more lists of things, of values that have to do with your level of variety, the need for change, the need for integrity, the need for athleticism, the need for being part of the larger community, the need for self-development. So anyway, there's lots of sources where you could find out your values, and it's important to discover your values.
Yeah, I think that's important. I also think it's really important for people to be clear about the differences between their needs and their wants.
Yes.
Because I do think one of the things that I found just from dating my husband is if I had gone on an app or filled out eHarmony, there would have been things that I could have only known that I actually needed through spending time with him. So if I had filled that out, if I had filled out an app or some sort of questionnaire, I would have ended up with a 6'4" lacrosse player with green eyes and dark brown hair, and was an Abercrombie and Fitch model when he was in his teens.
Right.
That's not who I ended up with, though. And part of what I have learned over 25 years of marriage is I didn't know I needed someone to dote on me. but he has doted on me for 25 years, and I cannot imagine life without it,
So
right?
beautiful.
And so I think that one of the things I think is really important as people are beginning any sort of relationship journey is, what do I need and what do I want? And what's the differences
Yes.
between those two things?
Very key,
right?
very important point. Yes.
Because while I may have wanted the 6'4" lacrosse player, I didn't need the 6'4" lacrosse player.
Right.
And doting wouldn't have made the top 10,000 on a list of things
That's
that I
right.
actually needed in a partner. So I think that's important, is really differentiating between needs and wants. I also think it's really important, getting back to a theme we talked about early on in the last episode, is trust. And I think one of the reflective questions to ask yourself is, what does trust mean to me? How do I know if I can trust somebody? What are the indicators? And how can other people trust me? How do people know that they can trust me?
But I think that it's a complicated question, but it's also very simple, because basically when someone keeps their word, basically you are your word. When somebody makes a promise, whether I'll call you at 9 o'clock or I'll pick you up at a certain time, I'm meeting you at this restaurant, even being on time, I mean, it's an agreement. When people keep their agreements, each agreement is like a building block of trust.
Right.
And over time, when you're dating somebody or getting to know a friend even, they keep their agreements over time. And then you learn to trust them. I have one of my dearest friends, Jill. Whenever I say we were trying to make a plan to talk, and I say I'll call you like at 8:30 tonight, all right? She goes, that's good. And then I call at 8:30, and she goes, it's exactly 8:30. I love that you do that. And I said, well, I said 8:30. Or if I'm going to be late, I send a courtesy notice. 8:35.
Yeah.
So I'm someone she can count on. I keep my word, and I work on it. I work on keeping my word to the best of my ability.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. I have to a plot twist comes up. I got to change a plan.
Yeah.
But that's building trust is something we do. And also, ironically, when you build trust, you're also building self-esteem, because self-esteem is based on doing estimable acts and keeping your word and saying yes when you mean yes when you mean yes, and no when you mean no, actually builds your self-esteem.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
So it's a win-win, really.
Yeah. Yeah. It builds a sense of self-esteem. It builds a sense of integrity, which, again, I think is super important. So I think one of the first tools, from my perspective, is really this self-awareness piece around
trust. Okay.
How do I
definitely.
define trust? How do people know that they can trust me?
Right. That's important.
Yeah. And what do I need people to do if they have broken my trust? Because that gets into the forgiveness piece, assuming that we want to forgive the other people in our life who have transgressed against us. Well,
that's a big topic too, going into interpersonal communication skills, because you have to be able to express, when you did this X, Y, Z, when you did X, I felt betrayed, humiliated, angry, and I request blah, blah, blah. And learning how to communicate, this is not acceptable, what you just did. That's a whole big topic right there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And people have to learn to express, because very often they bury it, or they just stuff it down with food or alcohol or distraction or gaming, and they don't talk. They just stop talking. And then when they stop talking, obviously the relationship suffers, but nothing gets accomplished.
Yeah. And along with what we've been talking about is also really being clear with yourself about what your expectations are. Are you just looking for hot sex? Are you just looking for a one-night stand? Are you looking for a long-term relationship? Are you just not sure?
And they're all okay, by the way. We have no judgment.
Absolutely.
There's a time and a place for everything.
Oh my God, absolutely.
And the important thing is, I like the idea of changing the mindset that you're going to have some anticipatory joy versus anticipatory anxiety about dating. Because dating is stressful.
Sure.
But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be.
Right.
And learning to visualize the best possible outcome. In DBT, we call it coping ahead. It's a very simple term. Picturing a good outcome. Versus the catastrophic thinking. Oh my God, what if? And that way, when you start learning this, there's a skill for anticipatory joy. Learning how to change the focus, and focus on the positive. It's more of an adventure, and you can have a one-night stand, or you can get married.
Absolutely.
Whatever's good for you, whatever you want.
Yeah, and a real practical kind of piece of advice, which I hardly ever give advice because I don't really believe in advice, but something that my clients have always reported back that's been helpful is, if you are not sure of yourself, or if you're not a confident dater, or if you're just at the very beginning and you don't know what kind of relationship you want with somebody, go out for coffee.
Yes.
Or tea.
I agree.
It's a low stress
That's right.
time of day.
1 hour.
1 to 2, maybe 2 if you're having a good time.
Right.
But dinner is serious.
Much more. Exactly.
Right. Dinner implies the evening. It then starts to raise questions about, are we spending the night together or not?
100%. 100%.
So whether you've just met a colleague and you're wondering, could we be friends? Or if you've met someone that you're interested in at the gym and you've asked them out and you want to get to know them better, go to tea or coffee.
100%. I agree.
So again, it's kind of a tool, but it's more of a tip, I think, is
keep it simple.
Keep it simple at the beginning, and let the one piece of advice I would also just give is at the end of every interaction with somebody that you're interested in being friends with or maybe a relationship with is this very simple question. Did I enjoy myself enough that I would do this again? And as long as you keep saying yes to that question, keep going out on dates, keep scheduling time with them. The moment that you're like, I'm not so sure that I would do this again.
Not good, not fun.
That's a red flag that you should pay attention to, and you should either slow the roll or consider whether or not this relationship should just be an acquaintance that you could hang out with maybe every once in a while, but isn't going to be anything more than that.
Right. And now also, I like to tell people that self-talk is the beginning of self-care. So when it comes to dating, again, accessing your quantum keyword, let's say, this is something I want to share this is from Florence Scoville Shinn, she's from the 1800s, a unity minister, but she says this beautiful thing, which I think applies for dating. It's very short. Infinite Spirit, open the way for the divine design in my life to manifest. Let the genius within me now be released. Let me see clearly the perfect plan, health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. This is high quality self-talk,
Yeah.
And Logan Uri says, I am looking for love and I'm ready to start dating. And the Lisa Wessan version would be like, with the help of God and all my angels, I'm magnetizing a fabulous guy who is, curious and interesting and fun and loyal and has integrity, blah, 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 and athletic. So we all have to have our ways of talking to ourselves to get our mindset on straight. Because happy dating is 80% mindset training. And then you show up for coffee or tea, but with minimal expectation, but hope that this could be something wonderful.
Yeah.
And that's important to know. Plus, each person you meet, even someone you meet on a date for a coffee, maybe they're not the one, or Mr. Right.
Yeah.
But you get friendly with them and they invite you to a brunch or a party, and then they have a great brother, and that's the love of your life. Each person is a doorway to a new universe. Yeah. And you want to think of each person as magical. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. You might meet somebody fabulous through them if it's not them. Yeah. So it just pays to go out and try.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And, I guess the other thing that I've been thinking about as I've been thinking about tools and tips, one of the things we talked about in the first hour of the show was the whole idea of the big 5 personality traits of ocean, openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Yeah. And those are things that you can improve. There are ways that you can be more open to experiences. So, for example, choose to read different kind of books. Maybe you choose to watch different kinds of television shows. Maybe you decide that when you can afford to go out to eat, that you eat somewhere a little bit different. Just as a way of testing the waters of having new novel experiences. Oftentimes, we don't know what we like until we try it. So that's one way to work on the O.
Yeah, openness. And also, when I was single many years ago, there's this restaurant in New York called Le Pan, Lepan. It's a lovely French restaurant. They have food, but it's really, I go there for coffee. Their food is not my favorite thing, but I love their coffee there. And they have these community tables, like the way Panera has a community table. So anyway, any restaurant that has a community table is a very nice place to go if you're single. And I used to go there, and I wasn't like trying to get like picked up, but I was a single woman, and I was just wanted some companionship for dinner. I didn't feel like being home alone. And I often had lovely conversations with people. Did I meet my husband at one of these places? No. But I did really make some interesting acquaintances and had some nice conversations, with my coffee or my onion soup, whatever, at Le Pen. And the same with Starbucks, Panera. These places that have community thing is a good thing if you're single. Yeah. And now I encourage people, this is on the inside level, we have to get comfortable. You have to get comfortable going out of your comfort zone. Because life begins when you're at the end of your comfort zone. Yeah. So again, going to Panera or Le Pen on my own, it's not comfortable, but I push myself just because I know it's going to be good for me. And I recommend people get used to going out of their comfort zone on a regular basis. Do you have any thoughts about that? Because
no,
that's dating. Dating is you're out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, totally. And, again, I think that because more and more people are not going out on real dates. They're doing kind of computer or phone mediated or app mediated dating. There are some skills that people are losing as a result of that. And so one of the things I would recommend is practice with a friend. Practice going on a date with a friend.
Oh, tell me about that. What does that look like?
Or practice role-playing a date with your therapist. So one thing that you could do is you could ask a trusted friend, hey, I don't think I'm very good at dating. You're a close friend of mine. Could we just practice dating? Because I don't know how to do it.
Well, practicing social skills. That's people during the pandemic. All of us suffered an atrophy of social skills. I'm still kind of recovering from it. I swear, I'm still not back to where I was before the pandemic. Making plans, you know. But also talking to people and learning to express compliments, validation. These are topics you want to look up, like how to validate people, how to give genuine, listening, becoming a good listener, practice reflective listening. That's great for a date. Reflective listening. These are tools that you learn. And again, in my world in DBT, we teach these, but you can read an article about reflective listening and get it right away. But these are all keywords you want to look up for better dating.
Well,
to polish your skills.
Exactly. And so again, the other thought that I have is go on a date with someone you absolutely have no interest in at all.
Just to practice.
I
agree.
Because it's low stakes.
Yes.
You're not emotionally wondering, am I not? It's the place to make all of the mistakes.
100%.
It's low stakes. So I would say go out with somebody and just go out for the sake of going out and having the experience of it. And then having a reflective moment after the date in terms of what did I learn? What did I learn about myself? What did I learn about this other person that I didn't know before? And again, go coffee or tea in the middle of the day where there are lots of other people around, where it's very time limited.
And another thing that's nice first date to get to meet somebody is all the museums have this thing usually once a month where they're open late and they have a jazz band or some kind of musical thing and drinks. And it's very interesting. It's a nice place to meet people in a relaxed atmosphere. You move around. Not everybody's single. Sometimes there are couples there, but you meet interesting people. When I was single, I used to go to the first night at the Guggenheim and at the Metropolitan Museum of Art because it's just fun and you see beautiful people. Sometimes you see a celebrity or somebody cool, whatever. But just a nice place to get out if you're single. And I encourage people to go, again, out of your comfort zone. And some people say, oh, I don't like museums. And say, well, you're not even going through the museum. You're at night at this big party that's planned for you, for $10 or $20, whatever. It's really worth it. So that's a nice thing to do also when you're single.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that those are really, really good things.
And but, people meet people in all sorts of places. And I also like the idea that I have several people in my practice. I'm training them, like when they go to Trader Joe's or Market Basket or Whole Foods or any supermarket, be alert and oriented. Like you might see a nice look at someone's face. If you like somebody's face, it tells you a lot. And if you see somebody who has a beautiful face or that you just like them, you can kind of be in their space a little bit and see what they're shopping for and say, they pick up a thing of gazpacho. Oh, is that good, that gazpacho? Just start a little conversation. It could just be nothing. And maybe nothing will come of it, but you're practicing connecting with strangers, which is out of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
and I'm not going to say be flirting in Trader Joe's, but, just ask a question. I have been approached. I have been like literally squeezing melons, and a guy came over and goes,
Lisa.
I know, it's so funny. I was literally squeezing a cantaloupe, and this guy goes, how do you know when they're ripe? And I think he knows. He knows. But I explained it. But you know something? Nothing happened.
Right.
But it was good for me to just practice, my skills.
Absolutely.
Of saying, well, I was taught that whatever. I'm not going to tell you how to find a melon, but you do this, this, and this. Thank you very much. And then we went our separate ways. But and I was not interested in him. And I don't know, maybe he was just really curious because I was fussing with the melon, like looking at the angles and things.
Right.
But you never know. You can meet somebody in a supermarket.
Right. Well, and that's what you're saying is really reminding me of something that I actually did as an experiment a couple of years ago, which was I discovered that I really love walking. I never thought I would be a walker. I didn't think I would ever be that kind of person. I do. Go for a walk without your earbuds, your technology, and every single person that walks by you, make eye contact with them and say, hi, good morning, good afternoon, right? Again, it's totally low stake, and it feels kind of good to make eye contact with another carbon-based life form called human beings.
I notice when I walk in the woods or when I walk around the lake where there's some people near my house, if I'm wearing earbuds, and I wear the kind that have the strings hanging because I'm afraid of getting brain tumor. I don't have the ones that are wireless because I'm afraid of the Bluetooth in my brain. Anyway, so they can see my wires. Yeah. I don't even care if they judge me as being old, fuddy-duddy. But anyway, it's anti-cancer. Long story short, when I wear those things, sometimes people don't even say hello. Like they just ignore you because they figure you're listening to a podcast or a book, you're talking to somebody. Right. But when you take them out, people always say hello. Sometimes we stop and have conversations. Yeah. I meet people. It's so interesting. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. Well, and again,
it blocks the communication in real life.
It does, because what the earbuds or the earphones say is, I'm not open for business.
Yes.
I'm not.
Don't talk to me.
Yeah, don't talk to me. And again, one of the kind of signature relationship musts is attention.
Yes.
Right? Like paying attention to another human being.
Huge keyword.
Like I love my husband, but I have to say his effing Apple Watch sometimes makes me a little cranky because it's constantly giving him data.
Yeah. Nonstop.
I think it's great that it's right.
Everything.
I think it's great that he is like measuring his pulse and his heart rate. I think that's fantastic. Right. But like a message is coming in from his brother or from his mother,
can that be shut down? Or
well, it can be.
I don't know. I don't have one. I stopped wearing watches. Yeah.
But this is why I think it's really important that we be really mindful of how intrusive technology is in our relationships and the ways in which our technology can send the message we are not available. We are not, our attention is not undivided. It's actually quite divided.
Yes.
And relationships require effort. I know that you use the word work in the first hour. I think of it more as it requires effort. You need to do something. They don't just happen on autopilot. So I think really being mindful about where is your attention when you're with somebody, and what can you do differently to attend to them, even if it's looking them directly in the eyes, leaning forward, asking follow-up questions as a way of indicating that you are interested in them.
Exactly. And this is part of the mindfulness industry, learning how to be in the present moment, focused on who you're with or what you're doing, with no distractions. Right. And it's not easy. I think our culture has like a low-grade ADD or ADHD thing going on. Like almost everybody's like distracted with the phones.
I mean,
so it's an effort for them to pull away from the phone, whatever, and the watch and just focus.
Well, and again, this goes back to my concern about apps and phones, where we have turned everything into entertainment. Right? So we have to constantly be entertained. And I think that's problematic because sometimes just sitting quietly next to my husband and watching television, which is its own kind of technological, like mediated relationship, that's kind of problematic too, as I'm saying that out loud.
Yeah.
But how how much attention are we really paying to one another?
Well, that's a huge topic.
Which again is why I think there's such a loneliness epidemic, is I don't think people actually feel attended to.
Well,
you can be surrounded by lots of people and still feel lonely. And I think it's because we are not attending to people.
Do you know that in England, they actually have a minister of loneliness?
Yeah.
It's become so epidemic, the loneliness factor. And it's definitely the technology. People are lost in their their gaming and their internet and Insta-sham, whatever.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't know. We didn't touch on breaking up.
We did kind of. I think that
detaching with love.
Certainly detaching with love. But I also think one of the ways to prevent having to have breakups is making sure that you're starting relationships on the right foot, right? Like making sure that am I really compatible with this person? Are our expectations similar and the same? It's much less likely you wouldn't have to break up. Right. You're not going to need to break up if you've done the hard work at the beginning of a relationship.
We have 24 seconds or so. But I wanted to say that, well, maybe we'll talk about breaking up in another segment. But I think it's very important to have a good life. You don't want anybody living in your head rent free. Yeah. And so to do that, you need to detach with love. And there's something called the meta meditation or the loving kindness meditation. If you have the DBT textbook, it's on page 70. But basically, when you break up with somebody, you say after they're gone, like, may they be healthy, may they be happy, may they be safe, may they be at ease, and all the things you want for them. And that actually releases them from your brain. It actually helps you unclutch. Plus, it boomerangs back and you feel peaceful. I know this helped me breaking up, even with certain friendships that were not working for me anymore. So breaking up is a big topic, but my goal is to help people break up with ease and grace and not, again, like having somebody in your head stressing you out. Yeah. That's brutal, Well, I hope this was helpful. We're on the end. So thank you, Heath, for your wonderful time here and your beautiful contributions. I love what you say. This has been Process Recordings. I'm Lisa Wessan.
And I'm Heath Hightower.
And thank you for joining us today. It is our hope that we inspire you to increase your capacity for success, abundance, and love, and good health, because good health is wealth. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Process Recordings is produced by Lisa Wessan and Heath Hightower, with technical support from Chelmsford TeleMedia, the community media center of Chelmsford, Massachusetts.